Hello, right, so today we're going to create a number guessing game where we can enter a number as the user and then have try to guess the random number which has been generated by the program. We're going to be coding today in Python, so we've opened up a main.py file in Python and we're going to get going from there. So the first thing that we're going to have to do in this number guessing game is we're going to have to allow the user to guess a number. So that's the first thing we're going to have to do. So if we use our three speech marks there, single speech marks, number guessing game, and put that at the top. And then one of the next things we're going to have to do is we'll use a hash now for a single line comment. Next thing we're going to have to do is ask the user for a number. So the first thing that we are going to do with this is we're going to use an input statement, and then we are going to ask for a prompt. So guess a number, and then we can press run here, see what we've got. So we've got guess a number coming up, 7. Great, so it's over. But as you've noticed here, it allows us to guess a number now, but doesn't actually have a number. We've not actually generated a number for us to try to guess at the moment. So we are going to have to add in a random number generator, because the first thing that we can do is we could say rand number equals what? 1. And then what we can do here is actually store the number that somebody guesses here. So guess equals input equals guess number, because whilst we can guess a number like that, we can't actually compare it to anything to see if it's right. So if we've got random number equals 1, if we run this now, it will be exactly the same. So guess a number 8. So visually it's exactly the same as it was. But we now need to check if it's right. So we need to say if, which will give us a conditional statement. So it'll only execute this if the condition is actually true. If rand number equals guess, and then we're going to put a colon to go on to the next line. And can you spot what we've done there? We've got 1 equals, so we need 2 equals to do a comparison. 1 equals would be an assignment, so if we hover over that, invalid syntax, maybe you mean equals equals, because we want to check if it is equal, not make it equal. Print you guessed right, because that will output there. So if we run this now and we guess the number 7, then we get the same as before. If we run it now and guess the number 1, we've still only got no output, which isn't what we expected, because we've said if the random number equals the guess, print you guessed right. However, the issue that we've got here is input by default is a string, okay? So it's not an integer. As we can see there, if we hover over it, input prompt, and then it goes to a string. If we want to make this an integer, we need to surround it in the function int, which will mean that it converts whatever we put in there into an integer before putting it into guess. So if we run it now and we guess wrong, we should find that we've still got the same program, pretty much nothing else is said. If we run it again, but this time we guess the number 1, we get the printed statement, you guessed right, because this has been equal to true now, so it's printed you guessed right. So the next thing for us to add really then is, if the guess is wrong, we want to say something else, don't we? We want to print you guessed wrong. And now, if we press run on it, if we guess 1, it should still say you guessed right, but if we run it again, in 7, you guessed wrong. So now we've got it checking whether our number is right or wrong when we've guessed. But always having the number of 1 makes this game really easy, because by the time you figured out it's 1, you guessed right, you guessed right, we can keep on winning it. So what we need to do is replace this 1 with a random number. Now we can do that using a random function, but the first thing we have to do is import the random library, because what the random library will do is allow us to generate a random number. And then rather than 1, if we type in random, which is the same name we've given it up here, and then go dot rand int, and then we have to give it 2 parameters. So we have to give it a number to start at, 1, and then a number to end at, we're going to say 10. So the game should play exactly the same now, apart from we're not sure which number has actually been used. And we're guessing wrong here. Guess a number. You guessed wrong. You guessed wrong. So it's actually made it a little bit more difficult. Now, one of the things we could probably do with doing is adding another print statement up here to explain the instructions. Because at the moment, if you press run, someone could very easily just say, oh, well, what number does it go up to? Maybe it's that. And it can't be, because it can only be between 1 and 10, because we specified there. So if we add here print, the number is between 1 and 10. So now when we press run, we're getting the instruction numbers between 1 and 10. So the game's still pretty hard, but at least it doesn't feel as impossible now, although we can't get it right all the time. Now you might notice that there's one thing that's missing here. And one of the issues that we've got is, if you get it wrong, the game just simply ends. What we want to do here is actually have it continue asking us for a number and then checking if the number's right, otherwise printing wrong. But we don't want the number to change every time. So what we can do here is we can add a loop into it. So we can add a while loop in. And what we can say is while, so while this statement is true, rand number is not equal, so an exclamation mark followed by an equals, guess, we want it to do the following code. What we need to remember to do is indent all this now that's supposed to be inside while. And as you can see, one of the first errors that we're going to get here is undefined name guess. Now you're saying, but we've got guess there. We have. The initial problem is guess isn't declared for the first time until line 14. So on line 13, it's unknown. So an extra line that we have to have is guess equals 0 up there. Okay, because that will never be the right answer, and it initializes the variable, and now that exists there, ready for the user to replace it. So if we press run on the game now, guess a number between 1 and 10. 1. We're wrong, but it's asking us to guess the number again. 2, 3, 4. Guessed right, and then the actual game ends. You guessed right. So if we run again, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We guessed right, so it was number 6 this time. Run again. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. We went too far. Guess number 3. That was right. 1. Oh, we guessed right first time. So as you can see now, we can have multiple guesses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 4. We guessed right. And that is how you can create a really simple number guessing game in Python. So that's all the code that is needed. So just to talk through it again, we've put on the first 3 lines an introduction to the actual program. That's not necessary for the program to work. That's just to explain to the humans who are reading this code what the whole purpose of the program is. On line 5, we're importing the random library which we're using to determine to create a random number that contains the function which is going to generate a random number for us. Then we generate our random number between 1 and 10 and store it in a variable called rand number. Then we've got a 1-line comment here just explaining what we're doing on the following couple of lines of code. So we've got instructions. We're printing some instructions then, so the number is between 1 and 10 to give the user half a chance of getting it right. This comment here is from before we put in the loop. So what we should probably do to make that more correct is put that on line 14, because that's where we're asking the user for a number. But if we skip back up to line 12, we're initializing the guess variable at 0. So it's got a default value, so that when we use it in this while loop here, it actually exists, because before it didn't exist until this line. And then we're doing while rand number is not equal to guess. So we're going to keep on doing this until the user guesses correctly what the number is. It's going to ask the user for a number, and then it's going to check using an if statement or a conditional statement. So if rand number, which is the random number that's been generated, is equal, remember it's two equals, it's checking whether that is equal to that, is equal to guess, which is the user's guess, we're going to print you guessed right. Otherwise, we're going to print you guessed wrong. And when we press run, the game works for us really well. Now, there are additions you can go on for that, and obviously this will go on forever. If we kept on guessing the same wrong number, it will go on forever and ever. But if we actually change our number, we will actually eventually get the right number between 1 and 10. If you wanted to increase the complexity, you can change these numbers. So we can say it's 1 to 20 now. And then obviously remember to update the instructions so the users know again. And if we press run now, we can start at 1, but there's more chance of it lasting longer now. So that time it was 4. This time, will we see a number above 10? Yep, so this time we've got a number above 10. We really have. Oh, we missed out 17 there, and that was the right number, so it's a good job we went back and checked that. But as you can see, it's quite simple to create a number guessing game in Python. So, hope that helped. If you've got any questions, then feel free to put them in the comments below. Hope that has helped you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Python tutorials. We shall see you soon. Bye!